Sit at my grave. Chapter 11. The air felt hazy and unsettling. He could hear every word, along with the beeps and buzzes of the machinery in the room. It was all right in front of him, but he didn't want to believe it. Every movement he made felt difficult. His brain weighed his body down. There was this subtle ache in his chest and hollow emptiness of shock throughout his body. They've been running tests all morning. They still haven't found concrete answers. Renly spoke. Her voice came out quiet and weak. She held onto her own arm, sloppily giving herself a hug in an attempt to calm down enough to explain. Some of the doctors told me it could be an underlying disease or something that flared up. That's just speculation. Renly sighed. Gallon listened closely, a frown of concern on his face. He stayed quiet while she talked. Although he was closest with Ardyn, he'd known the family for so long, and seeing everything going on, especially watching Renly trying so hard not to cry, it was hurting his heart too. Maybe you can ask for intensive testing, a specialist or something, Gallon suggested gently. Renly took in a deep breath, letting it out with a shudder. I'll go ask again, Renly said, her voice cracking a bit when she spoke. She turned away from Gallon, staring at the hospital bed again. She placed her hand on the bed, intertwining her son's fingers with her own. I'm going to do my best, baby. I promise, she whispered. She had to tear her gaze away to stop herself from sobbing again. It was hard trying to manage everything alone. She needed someone she knew she could lean on right now, but he wasn't there. Have you called his dad yet? Gallon asked, figuring the whole family needed to be there. Renly took in another breath. She looked down towards the floor, trying to hide her face. I'll give him a ring after I speak with the nurse, Renly muttered. She turned, started to walk out. Do you need some help? Gallon asked. He knew Renly was very upset, and having to do everything while she was simply trying to grasp her son being in such a state, it couldn't have been easy. Thank you, Gallon. You can come with me. Maybe it'll give Ardyn a little time alone with his brother, Renly suggested, trying to give Ardyn a reassuring smile. Ardyn wanted to protest being alone with him, but he couldn't think of the words to say to get himself out of it. I'll be back to get you once we get everything more settled, Gallon confirmed to Ardyn. Even without him speaking much, Gallon could tell there was tension. Ardyn had always been a bit reserved. He didn't much articulate what he felt, but Gallon spent enough time to learn what he was saying, even if he was silent. I'll be right outside if you need me. I love you, Ardyn. I love you, Reed, Renly said. Her voice broke again at the end. She quickly went out, trying to wipe her eyes once again. Gallon quickly went after her, both going into the waiting room. Hearing his brother's name, hearing his mother say she loved him, and him not responding in his usual way, it shook him out of his daze. He was seeing the reality of this. He looked down at Reed's face. His eyes were closed. He had a tube fed into his nostrils. His chest, very slowly, rising and falling. He was alone with his brother, and he didn't know what to say. Ardyn didn't know the severity of anything yet. He wasn't informed if Reed was just sleeping or in a coma-like condition. For all Ardyn knew, this could have been Reed's fault. Maybe he took some type of drug and messed himself up worse than he thought. They just need to get it out of his system, right? And he'd be fine. Back to her insufferable self in no time, Ardyn muttered, looking down at Reed's face briefly. He turned to walk out after that, Reed's fingers twitching, going unnoticed as Ardyn closed the door behind him. Ardyn thought everything over while he gradually made his way back to the waiting room. Soon he was coming up with a logical explanation. Everything was fine. Reed did something dumb, like normal. The doctors didn't run enough tests, but they would once Renly got over her hysterics and called their dad, and he offered them more money. Reed would be up and go back to tormenting him. At the worst, Ardyn figured they'd have a hefty bill their dad would have to pay, and he would have to have Reed watch him at his graduation and mess him up even more, because he was still angry about their argument from earlier. Although outcasted at times, Ardyn appreciated the time he had alone. In his opinion, it made him far more intelligent and able to get answers without over-exaggeration.